Hello everybody and welcome into the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series live from the Tricky Triangle. That's right, it's Pocono Raceway, and thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. You are watching Austin Green on Ghost Racing Network. And well, I'll tell you what, we're at that point in the season where the playoffs are approaching and a lot of drivers still looking to squeak their way in. Tonight, a great opportunity for many and an opportunity for others to try to extend on what has already been a fantastic season. So without further ado, let's hop right in tonight with your starting grid. Taking the poll for Pocono is going to be the 48 machine of Tyler Marble. For Team Marble iRacing puts down a 54.5. Tracy Powers, good qualifying effort for him. He will roll off to his outside in second. Austin Fitzgerald back in third. Greg Bartlett in fourth. Brian Conklin will round out the top five. GT Hawkins, the rookie, back in sixth. Jacob Musso in seventh with Jake Hickson in eighth. Taio Polito for Dynamic Autosports back in ninth. And Brandon Saylor will round out your top 10. Quentin Clark will roll off tonight from the 11th position. He'll have Scott Glasso to his outside in 12th. Row number 7, Roger Shelton and Jeff Marble with Michael Mueller and Jeff Shutt back in row 8. Thomas O'Hara, Alan Bajari make up row number 9. And it's Kyle Oakley and Jeffrey Souza to round out your top 20. Jared Bundy 21st, Brett Spod in 22nd, Cody Matthews 23rd, Johnny McCulchuk in 24th. Moving on back to 25th, it's Glenn Grigsby with Ryan Haynes in 26th, Rachel Hunt 27th, Andrew Russo back in 28th, Kenneth Bartholomew 29th, and the Canadian driver Mark Sabak rounding out your top 30. Caleb Patton will round out the field tonight as he will roll off in 31st. Looking at your race info here tonight, it is the Pocono 200. 80 laps the distance around the Tricky Triangle here tonight. 100% fuel, 4 sets of tires, no fast to pair, open setups as always, and 3 green-white checkers if we were to need them. 81 degrees outside, 46% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 6 miles an hour. Pocono Raceway, 2.5 miles in length, same distance as Daytona International Speedway. Not as much banking in the corners, longest straightaway of any circuit we go to. 116 degrees starting track temp. It's going to be hot. It's going to be slick. It's going to be a good one. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. We are racing at Pocono. Hey, everybody going to fan out for the first time as they make it down to turn number 1. And actually, surprisingly enough, looks like they're all going to stay pretty organized 2 by 2 through the first turn here tonight. And already washing up. A couple of guys almost get to the wall. It was Tracy Powers. And it looks like the 77 of Greg Bartlett may have actually hit the wall. Jake Hickson going to cut him a little slack here as he's going to go ahead and push that 77. But that causes that outside line to lose all sorts of momentum. Right now they are going way to the back. They're going to try to get this thing sorted out here pretty quickly through the tunnel turn 2 by 2. A little tricky, but it is doable, especially on new tires. Now, I saw a little bit of argy-bargy going on back here. I think it was between Kyle Oakley and a couple others, but I think they've gotten this sorted out by the time they get to turn 3. Sure enough, they do. And so they'll work back down onto the long straightaway. And lap number 1 is complete. Goes to the 48 of Tyler Marble. And now drafting may not be similar to what we see at Daytona and Talladega through the turns and most of the track, but with these long straightaways, drafting is still going to play a big key tonight in who wins this race. If you're able to stick even relatively close to a guy, there's a big advantage to gain down the straightaways if you're close together with another car. And so right now what you're seeing, Brian Conklin, Austin Fitzgerald rolling right by the 5 of GT Hawkins. Those two are in each other's draft. And in the draft of the 48, Hawkins didn't have any, so he faded. Even though he tries to fight back in the tunnel here, not sure if it's going to be enough. Conklin with a pretty good run on the outside. Still battling really, really tough back for the mid-teens. Even the top 10, these guys are still, looks like got about 4 of them going at it. I think the 99 of Michael Mueller's up there trying to take point in this group, and he will off of turn number 3. And so each lap that goes by, things will single file out just a little bit more, but right now certainly still plenty of action. Is if this thing starts to get, late in a couple runs, we could have a chance to go green all the way, so you got to get what you can get on really any restart we have. And as these guys will set up for pit stops later on in the run, very important that they try to gain this track position now so you can set up, maybe conserve a little bit of tire wear later on. As Kyle Oakley continues to see if he can slot in line, he'll try to do so in front of Alan Pajari. And he did, but Pajari wasn't content enough with it to try to stay there, so he looks for the crossover as they go down through the tunnel turn. By the way, we call it the tunnel turn, turn 2, whatever you want to call it. It is the fastest turn on the racetrack. And with that, it's also very, very sketchy. It's not quite a one-groove turn, but it feels mighty, mighty close to that. So you've got to be really, really careful when you go through that turn, especially if you find yourself side by side with a couple of guys. But so far, we have not had that issue here tonight. Everybody that's went side by side through has been able to get through it clean, and then everybody that's single file, of course, has had no issues themselves. And so now we turn our attention back towards the front of the field, because Austin Fitzgerald, he's starting to close this gap, ladies and gentlemen. He has closed about 0.2 of a second now on Tyler Marble as they go flying by the backstretch cam right there. And if he's able to, I don't know, I guess reel him in to within where he wanted to make the move, he's got to decide where he wants to make that move. I almost think turn one's the place to do it. You've got all that speed from the front straightaway, and you can really kind of try to dive it in late, maybe try a little bit of a slide job or something of that nature. And in fact, speaking of speeds, let's take a look at him here as we work our way down the front stretch here on lap number 5. And let's go to the onboard view here for Austin Fitzgerald. See what Tyler Marble's trying to do there as he snakes back and forth left and right. He's trying to break the draft so that Fitzgerald can't get as much of a pull. And couldn't quite read it there as it looked like it flickered a little bit, but it looked like, in fact, we can go further back in the field here. Some of these guys just now working down into the turn. I think it's about over 180, it looked like, some of the top speeds we saw. And then as they go down the second straightaway to the tunnel turn, oh, caution's out. Well, that thought, trouble for Jeff Shutt and a couple others here. What has gone wrong? As multiple cars involved. Looks like they all scattered down the first back straightaway here. And looks like Jeff Shutt, one of the victims, is going to be able to get back rolling. Rachel Hunt was the other car that caught my attention when we switched camera views. And looks like she's also going to get back rolling, but she does have at least a bit of right side damage. Can't tell just how bad it is yet. So we'll go to the TV1 cam, and yeah, there you see it. That right front it's pretty beat up. I don't know if I would go as far as to say race-ending damage, although her steering wheel is, looks about 20 to 30 degrees offset to the right, so she may have suspension damage, and if she does, then, well, at that point, that's when you start to maybe consider it a night ender. So we'll see what she does here. I think she'll probably try to pace around as, ooh, we got one on the wall here. I think Jeff Shutt maybe has a similar issue with the broken suspension. Yes, he does. Look at the right front for Jeff Shutt there. You can see it bouncing around as back it up a little bit there, and that means he just can't find a way to get that thing steering right now, so he's just trying to kind of keep it out of the way of everybody so he doesn't get involved in anything else here. Now we'll go back and look at how this happened here in just a moment, but trying to see how everybody's going to kind of fare out of this as we'll go back live and see. Yeah, Jeff Shutt, he's still struggling to keep this thing off the wall, and when the suspension damage is that bad, sometimes it isn't repairable, or rather you get a meatball flag, which it's always repairable, but once you get required damage, it's, say past, I don't know, 10 minutes, you start to, beg the question of, is it really worth it? And right now, at least for Jeff Shutt, I don't know the answer to that, because that right side is not looking good for a track that's that dependent on aero. Even if he gets the suspension fixed, this thing is certainly still not going to run too well. All right, so let's go back and look at this wreck and where everything went wrong. It was off of turn number 1, which is kind of a usual place to see him. And boy, what a stack up this one was. So it's all going to start here with Jeff Shutt and the 00 of Quentin Clark. And that's Michael Mueller in the 99 just in front of these two, him and the 00 teammates. And just looks like Jeff's getting a little bit tight, washing up that hill. And as he gets up the track, Quentin Clark's there. He gets into him, and then the 00 is going to kind of go for a slide here, but with the banking and them just coming off the banking, the 00 is not going to be able to slide down. Instead, he slides back up. And the 77, Greg Bartlett's got nowhere to go. Jeff Shutt piles in, and then Kyle Oakley piles into him. And then now it's just a mad scatter of everybody trying to find a way to miss it. The 10 of Cody Matthews, the 72 of Johnny McCulchuk. Both of those two had absolutely nowhere to go as, ooh, there's a pretty big hit up there. Not sure who that was or even how that happened. See if we can back that up and see who that was that hit the wall and how they hit it there. Looked like everybody was, I think that's either the 3 or the 4. Was it Jared Bundy or Scott Glasso here? See, Jared Bundy's a little loose. Oh no, that's Scott Glasso. Yeah, that's Glasso. That's who that is. That's Scott Glasso that had issues kind of ahead of the wreck. Wasn't directly involved, but took a tank slapper there to the left side with the inside safer barrier. As not sure if he got loose and then just lost it here while trying to correct it or what. Let's see. Oh yeah, that's exactly what it was. He just got all out of sorts here, tried correcting it, got on the apron, then he hit a bump. Back tires started spinning, and that's what got that car snapped back around to the left and into the wall. So that's what happened to Scott Glass. I want to give you a couple more views now of the big wreck that brought out, of course, the first caution here of the night for Jeff Shutt, Quentin Clark, the first two involved. And, you know, Jeff Shutt not doing anything wrong there. Nothing malicious, nothing intentional. And the blimp cam will give you a good idea here. He's on the bottom. You know, this turn, it's got a decent amount of banking, but it's still pretty tight. And so, you know, you've really got to bail out of the throttle. You're hard on the brakes. And sometimes you get in just a little bit too hot. You start washing up the hill. And when you're side by side like that, it just doesn't give you a whole lot of time to react. And, I mean, in fairness to Quentin Clark, he's wondering what in the heck. He had, you know, a decent run going. He's working his way to the field. Next thing he knows, he's caught up in the first wreck here tonight as well. That view kind of showed you after the fact, but I wanted to show you him sliding up here. Did he clip the apron? He might have. I wonder if he didn't just clip the apron. Well, I don't know. He was still in the throttle trying to get back in it. Just maybe a little bit of a mistake there from one of the veterans, Jeff Shutt. And then, man, this was carnage after. These guys just could not find a way to get woed up in time. And there were some really, really tough hits right here. Watch this. They spin around. Watch Jeff Shutt. This car gets some airtime here as 17 of Kyle Oakley gets under the back end of that car, and then there's the rest of the convoy. So Jeff Shutt right now still sits in the pits, and he's unfortunately just going to have to watch from the sidelines right now as another one of the drivers that is competing to try to make it to the playoffs. And that was certainly not the way that he wanted this race to start. But as we go back live, we're getting ready for a restart, and it looks like it is the 48 of Tyler Marble still leading the field. Austin Fitzgerald in second. Got Brian Conklin back in third, Tracy Powers in fourth, and Roger Shelton rounding out your top five. Now, if you're Austin Fitzgerald, I almost think you got to be thinking here, get a little bit aggressive right off the restart, because he was catching that 48 once they got a couple laps under their belt, and that was from starting not on the front row. So now that he's got that front row position for this restart, see if he amps up the aggression here a little bit, see if he can't get that clean air and try to maybe start pulling away from the 48. And in defense to that, Tyler Marble, who's led them all so far here tonight, he's going to see if these guys can get to battling out back and if he can try to pull some distance on everybody else. Good to see everybody watching here tonight. Cody Martin says, let's go, boys. Good luck, good racing. Happy to see you back, Austin. Thank you, Cody. Certainly glad to be back and glad that you're watching. Green flag is back in the air. 9 laps complete at Pocono. We'll see if anybody decides to fan out this time down the front straightaway. A lot of room to do it. 4-5 wide. Very easily doable here, but nobody going to take the opportunity, at least not yet. They stay double file into turn one. Fitzgerald slips up, and now that's going to cause even more stacking up further back. Outside, big trouble. We got one in the wall. Hold on to it. That's the 19 of Tai Iopolito. 3, 4, almost 5 wide further back. Now they go. GT Hawkins, Glenn Grigsby, multiple others all scattering to try to get around the mess that was the checkup. It started with Austin Fitzgerald, translated back to Tai Iopolito and multiple others. And I'll tell you what, from both first starts, or both, I guess I should say both starts in general that we've seen here tonight, that outside has been a struggle. I mean, you'd almost think there was just dirt and marbles up there with the lack of grip that some of these drivers have had, especially, like I said, on that first lap. Seems like he gets a little better as they get a couple laps ticked off, but I mean, man, that's really tough to work with on a restart, especially if it was one at the end of the race where you know you got to go for it if you're trying to win this thing. And I mean, right now, Tyler Marble looks very comfortable on the bottom lane as he hugs that double yellow line around the inside. And then as they get onto the back here. By the way, no track limits here at Pocono. And I know we may have denoted that with talk about how wide the front stretch is, but I mean, you can go all the way down there below that double yellow if you want. And we saw a couple guys maybe try it in some of the real-life races this past weekend, but the problem, at least in these next gens here, from what we've seen so far, is it's pretty bumpy down there. And, you know, you get down there, you hit a bump, the rear tires spin. It's easy to get this car turned around, and it may be wide, but there's still nowhere to run with the speed you're going here at Pocono. If you wreck, you're going to wreck pretty big. Got to take that into account and kind of give yourself a risk versus reward assessment, especially this early on in the race, as we have now only completed 11 of 80 laps here tonight. GT Hawkins, the number 5 machine, saw him slot in line just in front of the 64 Mustang of Glenn Grigsby. Mark Sabak way up high. He's got to be careful as he saw the fire out of the pipes. He had to get out of it a little bit coming off at turn number 1. couple spots behind them, Kenneth Bartholomew making decent headway, up 13 positions from where he started this race at. But your biggest mover right now inside the top 15 is the Canadian Mark Zabak. He is currently up 17 positions from where he started this race at. Mark Zabak, one of those drivers that's really kind of looking for potentially a win to get himself locked into the playoffs. And as we continue to close in on the playoffs, very important to take advantage of whatever races that we have left. If you've got one that you feel like is one of your favorite tracks, then circle the date. Say I'm going for a win on that one and going for consistency the rest. But a lot of these guys still looking to see if they can find a way. And right now, Austin Fitzgerald is trying to find a way around Tyler Marble, but that dirty air through turn one has been pretty killer to the 74 so far. Maybe the only limiting factor of him trying to make a pass on your leader here tonight. See all that draft he gets down the straight here as these guys hit nearly 180 miles an hour. Actually, I guess I should say over 180. Down to the tunnel turn about 155. And as they get through turn three, this is the flattest turn on the racetrack. And even though it's the flattest, it's the one where you can really generate the most momentum here, especially if you take a little bit of a higher arc and then try to kind of arc it down on exit. But they'll wash up to the wall, 160. Actually, they got down even slower than that in the middle portions of the corner, but as they re-accelerate down the straightaway here, let's see what these guys get up to here. Austin Fitzgerald is going to hit at least 190, maybe a couple digits more. No, it looks like about 190, and as much as they have to slow down, I think they are definitely using a little bit of brake here. There is also some shifting going on, which I know we didn't quite mention yet, but yeah, with a track this big on the straights, and I wouldn't say this slow on the turns, but the point is, yes, these guys do utilize shifting here. Now, it looks like Fitzgerald's going to stay in fourth here down the two back straightaways. We'll see here. Yeah, through the tunnel. Oh, he's tight. You got to be careful. Man, Fitzgerald got really tight right there through the tunnel, but watch this. He'll stay in fourth. I wonder if he gets down to third through this turn. Let's see. Doesn't look like it, at least not yet in the run. Looks like he's comfortable in fourth. A little bit less wheel spin when he's in that gear, and then as he gets down the front stretch here, pulling that big draft off of Tyler Marble. Let's see, does he shift up to fifth? And is he going to look for a pass right here? Up to fifth, and now he's going to take a peek to the inside, but quickly thinks better of it. Didn't quite have the run, so instead he's going to just try to fill up the mirror of Tyler Marble, see if he can't get him to maybe slip up, make a mistake. Tyler, though, not budging right now. They still are all relatively close to each other inside the top five. In fact, you could throw everybody in your top 8 under a blanket right now. Jeff Marble, the first car that is outside of a second from the leader, but he's still in this lead group and still making passes as he looked to the inside there of Michael Mueller, but didn't quite have enough of a run. Souza checks up, cuts him a break, and then how about Brandon Saylor making it a good run so far for all of the teammates for Team Marble iRacing, as again they currently run first, third, and then back at 11th course is Brandon Saylor, and then Jeff Marble at 9th. So Brian Conklin, looking at his name and what he's got going here tonight, still looking for that first win of the season. Another great opportunity presenting itself, at least in the early goings here. The speed that he's got right now. Looks like Cody Matthews, by the way, is just out making it back on track. Remember, a lot of these guys that you're seeing just now come out of the pits were the cars that were involved in that first wreck of the night. Jeff Shutt in the same boat as he'll try to make his return to the racetrack. Now, Jacob Musso, I don't know if he was involved in that first wreck. I didn't think he was, but definitely some reason that 95 is back as far as he is. Some sort of issue potentially for Musso, as he is not on the lead lap. Neither is Quentin Clark, the 00. Rachel Hunt, who was another car that got pretty bad damage on that right front. Doesn't look like it's all been fixed yet, but good enough for her to continue to drive the car around, and she'll try to scrap together any points she can get here tonight. Johnny McCulchuk, another one of the cars involved in that first incident of the night, and he's got some damage. Still sitting on the right front, maybe a little bit more towards the front of that race car. Johnny McCulchuk, one of the drivers, carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. As always, Johnny, we certainly appreciate it. And looks like it's got either an HD camera or just a different viewpoint, but looking crystal clear tonight is Johnny McCulchuk. You can see all the monitors he's got set up. Is right now not necessarily going too crazy, kind of keeping it at race pace, as he knows that with that damage there's only so much he can be able to do. But I'm going to turn our eyes back to the front here, because that's really where all the battling's been so far tonight, and it continues. Tracy Powers versus Jake Hickson down through turn 3. Tracy Powers on the inside. He'll get a great run through the middle, but he's got to try to slide up before that 16 can get enough momentum to get back side by side. Oh, he had it, but he didn't take it, and now that does allow Jake Hickson to draw side by side. He'll get a bit of a side draft and actually get clear of that 25 after being behind him when they came off at turn 3, and so that shows you just the effect of that draft and how strong it is. Tyler Marble leading the field, but you saw that big sigh or kind of that big exhale right there. He knows that he's got the 74 on his back bumper, and it's too early to necessarily do anything stupid aggressive, but at the same time, with as important as clean air is going to be here at Pocono, and as much of a heater as Austin Fitzgerald's been on as of recent, I got to think Tyler right now is thinking, man, I need to try to hold on to this position for all it's worth. That's exactly what he's doing, but it's getting tougher and tougher because Fitzgerald just continues to look better and better each and every lap, and eventually something's going to have to give. We'll see who and what it is. A couple spots back is his teammate, Jeff Marble, carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight as well. As he works his way down the front stretch, he is in 9th, up 5 positions from where he started this race at. Jeff Marble, one of the guys last season especially, and maybe even a little bit this season, that I feel like if you asked him what is one thing that he wishes he could do a little bit better, maybe more consistently, it'd be the qualifying effort, right? Because when it comes to race speed, especially in the long run, he's one of the best of the best in the series. Even in the short run, a lot of times able to find a way, but a lot of times we'll hear him, if he's able to get a top 3 finish after not a great qualifying effort, he's saying, man, if only I could have, found a way to get a good qualifying spot, what could have been? I wonder if tonight's maybe another one of those positions with him starting outside the top 10, and I know he's got a good run going here, but he's still got quite a bit of ground to make up, almost 2 seconds, and still a lot of traffic in the way of him and the current leader. We'll have to see what he can do. Ryan Haynes for BMP, looking for a turnaround night here after, well, I don't know what happened last week because, of course, wasn't here, but the week before that, and a couple weeks before that, a couple of rough goes for the 39 in terms of trying to keep it clean the entirety of the race. So we'll see if the driver out of Center Hill, Florida, can maybe have a little bit of a better run here tonight. Look for a turnaround and, again, potentially a run to get himself closer and closer to making it to the playoffs as we near the end of the regular season. By the way, Haynes is up 8 positions where he started from here tonight, as you saw him grab a gear right there. And that's down the 2nd straight, so that tells me, in fact, I'm actually kind of curious now. I don't know if we'll still be able to see it, but that tells me that there are guys running pretty significantly different gear ratios than if they're shifting up into 5th on any straightaway but the front, which is what we saw Austin Fitzgerald doing. And that could kind of be, it's all about driver preference, right? These guys set up their cars the way they want it to run, but you still kind of wonder, by, of course, going with a shorter gear and say maybe you have to shift up to 5th down both straights instead of just the front stretch, you're going to have a little bit better acceleration, maybe a little bit better turn through the corners, but the trade-off is you're going to burn more tires. So we'll see here, what does Ryan Haynes do here as he works his way down the back? Does he grab a gear? Does he go to 5th? Does he stay in 4th? I'm not seeing the upshift to 5th, so I guess what we saw may have been him just shifting to a different gear, but he's having some internet issues here. He continues to blink just in front of the 3 of Jared Bundy. Gotta think that's making a couple of these guys nervous, Jared Bundy included. And so, there's Ryan Haynes. I was looking for Jared Bundy, but I don't know if we lost him. I think that was Ryan Haynes who actually blinked out of the driver cam for a moment. There is Jared Bundy, though. Currently sits up 3 positions from where he started in 18th. Already has a win on this season. Arguably could have had 2 with his performance. I believe it was at Charlotte, but of course things didn't work out there. So he's still looking for that official 2nd win of the season. And just behind him, the driver of the 17 machine for SWM Motorsports, it's Kyle Oakley. He is our final man carrying an onboard camera for us here tonight. So he continues to try to make his way to the field. By the way, he was involved in that first wreck, and I didn't see how bad it was at the time, but I assumed he would have got a little bit of front end damage, although front end of his Dark Horse Mustang is looking pretty clean, so I would have to think that car's not hurting too much, if any, down the straights. And now look at this. Up front, this is the whole point of working so hard to keep this clean air. I'm not saying that the trend is necessarily set in stone yet, but it almost looked like that time Tyler Marble, at least since we last checked, maybe gained just a hair more of breathing room from that 74 of Austin Fitzgerald. As I don't know if Fitzgerald wore his stuff out running in the wake of the 48, or if the handling of that race car is just not going in the direction he thought it would as we get further into this run. But if Tyler Marble can start to stretch this thing back out, then that will mean all that work he had to do to, you know, break the draft down the front stretch and try to fend off the 74 of Tyler Marble would be, or excuse me, the 74 of Austin Fitzgerald would be worth it, because that would show you that keeping clean air long enough and all of a sudden you'll start to pull away once we get to a certain point in the run and tires have fallen off. But already a quarter of the way through this race, 23 laps complete to be exact, and looking for that first green flag pit stop. See, we went back green, was somewhere around, I think it was somewhere between 9 and 11 laps complete. Now 2.5 miles at a track, say like Daytona, Talladega, 100% fuel in these cars, you could probably get somewhere near 40 laps. Now, I mean, I'm not sure what it's looking like here tonight. I would almost maybe argue that it's a little, maybe about the same, maybe a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on, I know these guys are lifting in the corners, but they're also don't have as much draft to save fuel, so we'll open the fuel window for now and say it's somewhere around 30 to 40 laps from when they went back green, which would put that next pit stop somewhere between 40 and 50, I believe, from when they would make their next stop. So we'll see if that's the case, and if it is, if they can make it to 45, then I'd say this is a one-stopper. 40, I just don't know, and then if they make it to 50, I would think it's a pretty definite one-stopper. Well, I'll tell you what, Kyle Oakley, you couldn't see it on the broadcast, but I was sitting here watching the driver cams, and I saw his eyes and his hands light up for a minute, and I think that means he had some sort of big moment here through 3, but let's see what it looked like through the cockpit view. Gets into the corner, everything's fine there, and then, whoa, he starts to drift up. That might have been what got his eyes all wide, as certainly didn't mean to make that contact, and then right there, another close call. There's been quite a few of those here tonight, close calls, but they've been left at that. Only caution we had was in the first 10 to 12 laps. Oh, man, there's another big moment, actually. But that one was for your leader, Tyler Marble. Wow, the 48 was all kinds of sideways right there, coming off of turn number 3. Holy cow. I don't know how, 1, he saved it, but 2, he's still in the lead. Look at this. Try to get on the loud pedal, and it's just not working for him. This thing must be starting to loosen up, and that could spell trouble here for the 48. Austin Fitzgerald is licking his chops right now after seeing that, and he's probably going to try to push the issue here maybe just a little bit more to see if he can catch this 48 slip up again. But man, that might have been the save of the night right there. Early candidate at least for Tyler Marble, as that was really, really close. And so Austin Fitzgerald down into down into turn number 3 here. He'll stay tucked in behind. I'll tell you what, Brian Conklin though, I mean, he's been in the same boat here. He's done phenomenal from the start of this race. You know, he's got a teammate leading this race, and it makes you obviously assume they probably got similar setups, but I mean, how about the 37 coming out tonight with some purpose here? He wants to grab that first win of the season. He knows that he's got the talent to do so, and still continuing to put himself in good position. And then Jake Hickson, the teammate for Austin Fitzgerald, evens it up to be a 2-on-2 battle here to the front 4. And those front 4 have pulled away from everybody else. Jeff Marble back in 5th, and he's kind of on an island, kind of the bridge, if you will, between that first group and the second group. We'll try to see if he can get up there and make it. Well, it's already 3 of the Team Marble Racing drivers in the top 5, but 3 of them all in the same group. As Tracy Powers leads what we'll call kind of this official second pack. Roger Shelton side by side here with Michael Mueller. That is the battle for 7th. Mueller's going to try to dive it in pretty deep here, maybe work that 42 up the racetrack a little bit. And it's not going to work. Roger Shelton still with great momentum. He'll get back clear. Off of turn number 3. And now they both tuck in line as they'll pull some draft off Tracy Powers. And we've got a third pack, couple of cars. Looks like Scott Glasso and Kyle Oakley. And then Ryan Haynes and multiple others all together right now, running together. And I don't know if that's what I expected here tonight, but the long straightaways and the power of the draft is what has led to that. Is here we go, looking for a change in lead. Tyler Marble versus Austin Fitzgerald. How hard will Tyler race for it here? Fought for the clean air earlier, has led so much till now, and caution comes out. just as the 48 lost the lead, I think. I'm looking for what the caution's for here. I'm not sure. Still don't see... Whatever it was, it couldn't have been too major of an incident because I don't even... Not seeing it pop up here, at least from the data we've got, so... See if we can figure out where this caution happened at. Go to the blimp cam first. Go way through the field here. I would assume it was maybe something a little bit further back. Oh, there it is. Brett Spod. Oh, big hit for the 35. Off the inside safer barrier. And talked about his teammate earlier, Ryan Haynes, having a couple of bad weeks. But for Brett Spod, man, it's been that kind of season. He's been trying and, arguably doing everything right except keeping the car clean the entire way through. And it's tough. They call it the tricky triangle for a reason here. And I don't know if I want to say same incident, but a similar setup to what we've seen earlier with guys having trouble through one here. Well, I guess I should say that looked more similar to the save Tyler Marble had, but in this case, not able to hold on. Watch it again and take a listen here. The back tires just starting to slide out on him here as he's trying to get back on the throttle. And right there, it kind of fully snaps around, and he tries to save it. And, I would argue that if he's maybe able to... go another, 50, 100, I'd say 50 feet right here. I think he saves it. I really do. But where that wall jets out right there, he just really, I guess you would say, runs out of room. And so he tags that first hit was a pretty good tag, but then this second one was the one that really ripped off the front bumper. So I got to think the first one probably broke the suspension, and the second one was kind of the finishing blow. Let's take the cockpit view, see if that was indeed the case here. Watch this first hit. Bam! And, well, whether it knocked out the suspension or not, with the way that car was bouncing around, he'd already lost control after that first hit and was just along for the ride at that point. So another angle of it there from TV1, and then we switch it to TV2. And boom, that's a big hit. And then this one's going to be just as bad as, again, it may be just coming out of one of the turns, but you're still running mid-100s, 150, 160, and ripping the front end off car for Brett Spod is potentially a night ender. The wheel looks a little off, but that could just be how these guys run it, although can't say I'd be shocked either if that left front suspension was damaged. So he continues rolling, but that is going to be one of the night's, or at least chances of a good run of the night, ended for one of the BMP Racing teammates, as there's another view from the blimp cam for Brett Spod. All right, so as we go back live now, 29 of 80 laps complete, pit stops complete. Everybody brought it down for 4 tires and fuel. And it looks like, I don't know if Austin Fitzgerald necessarily came out as the leader, or rather came in as the leader, but he certainly came out as the leader. Although I think he did take the lead just before the caution flew, as him and Tyler Marble were side by side through the tunnel when it did. And so we'll be about, looks like 9 or 10 laps from halfway. Looks like it's going to end up being 10 laps away from halfway once we get back going green. And now Tyler Marble, though, he's going to be in a different spot than he's been all night. Not the leader. He'll be in second, but he's had great short run speed. So you wonder if he takes advantage of that here and just to see if he can do the same thing. I think the biggest thing is that with just the way the track's raced here tonight, as a leader, or at least none of the leaders we've seen yet, which has only been Tyler Marble and now, of course, the 74 Fitzgerald, have been able to pull away from everybody else. They may get a group that pulls away from, another group, but in terms of just the leader running away with it, it's not been the case yet. And so even if you've got good short run speed, that makes it tough because the guy behind you maybe is better in the long run, and that draft is helping keep him close to your bumper. It just makes things a lot tougher than if we were at a track where the draft didn't have as much of an influence. So Fitzgerald, Tyler Marble will make up the front row. Jay Kickson, Brian Conca in row 2. You got Tracy Powers and Jeff Marble back in row 3. And it looks like going back to row 4, it's going to be Taio Polito, Michael Mueller, Jeffrey Souza, and Brandon Saylor rounding out your top 10. Well, I know we haven't talked about points just yet. We will get to that. But what I do want to talk about right now is what the schedule's looking like coming up. And we don't have it actually posted here tonight, but going to read off is, can we approach the end of the regular season? what we're looking like the rest of the way. Now, we do have the Olympics coming up, so that is going to play a little bit of a factor. So next week, we are going to head to Indianapolis Motor Speedway, the Brickyard, and that'll be 80 laps. Now, I was looking here, but anyway, that'll be 80 laps, and that'll be I'm really excited for that one still, especially with these cars. High downforce, and I think they're going to be a ton of fun to watch there. Then we take a bye week to finish off July for the Olympics. Make sure you check them out. Check those out, I guess I should say. And then to kick off August, we head to Chicagoland, followed by Richmond, and then it's off to the Irish Hills of Michigan. And then Daytona is going to be the last. Well, is it not this season? I guess not. Daytona not going to be the end of the regular season. Darlington will be. Daytona will be going to be the second to last race for the regular season. So that's a bit of a curveball in the schedule this season. But certainly still a great opportunity to get a win late in the season at a track that really everybody has a chance at. All right. Here we go, back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air at Pocono. 31 of 80 laps complete, and they're stacking them up a little bit on the outside. Somebody must have missed a shift, and it wasn't too bad, as it doesn't look like it's going to cause any checkups, but that double file line snaking around a little bit. You can definitely tell everybody's getting a little bit antsier and antsier on each restart that we have. Uh-oh. Jake Hickson going to try to slide up. Oh, Tyler Marble almost had to turn him around. Now we got one around out back. Huge hit into the inside wall. And that's the 34 of Alan Pajari. Major left front damage for the 34. He's got suspension damage as well. Doesn't bring out the caution. We keep it green. Man, that was a huge hit for Pajari. We'll have to go back and look at it, but the racing right now still extremely aggressive and chaotic. It's now Conklin almost got into the back of GT Hawkins. They're getting into turn 3. Souza's going to try to sneak to the inside. Can he do it? Nah, doesn't look like he's going to be able to do it right there. But man, I mean, the chaos goes all the way back here, even to 72. Johnny McCulloch looks like where it kind of first starts to calm down at now. I don't think Johnny's back on the lead lap just yet. No, he is. Even with that damage, Johnny McCulloch still hanging on the lead lap, and he was able to get some more of it repaired under that last caution. So we'll continue to see if he can maybe rebound, make a charge to the field. But right now, still 2 by 2. The 07 of Thomas O'Hara looking for a move to the inside here of Ryan Haynes down through the tunnel turn. Try to make something happen, but it's not going to work. It's like the 39 able to get a little bit better momentum up front. Fitzgerald and Jake Hickson trying to pull away here as Tyler Marble looked like through these couple laps at least struggling a little bit. And I think that struggle isn't so much that he's struggling with the handling. I think it's just that he fell out of a rhythm on this restart after, losing the lead. And so he's going to have to try to recover here pretty quickly because those two Dynamic Autosports teammates are able to slip away here. It's going to be a hard fight to get him back. Jeff Marble currently sitting in third. It's the highest position he's been at here tonight, up 11 from where he started. Looks like Tyler will start to reapply the pressure. We'll see if he helps his teammate and dad out here, gives him a push, or if he tries to maybe make a move. It doesn't look like there's necessarily any move to be made, so while we wait on that, I want to go back here and show you this restart here. Well, not necessarily the restart, but what happened after turn 1 of the restart for Alan Pajari here. I'm not sure. I think he just I don't know if he got loose or got some help, but as they get through turn 1, watch the 34. He's on the inside of Ty Iopolito. Those two are teammates, by the way. And then, Pajari just gets loose, and then, bam, there's that big hit off the inside wall that rips that front bumper off and breaks the suspension as well. Oh, and we went a little bit too far back. I want to go back to that incident again for Alan Pajari here, but we're going to have to fast forward this one more time. And so he got a good restart, but it all started with all the chaos up front now. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see it from this view, but watch Tyler Marble here as they get into turn 1. Did he slide up the racetrack? And not so much, just struggling for grip, I'd say, more than anything here. And then there's a 34 again. That's a big hit off the inside wall. I know that angle doesn't necessarily do it as much justice, so go to the cockpit view before we go back live. He's got the wheel turned as far as he can right, but just car won't rotate back to the right before he runs out of room. So a tough break for Alan Pajari. Well, this time the break the front of the field is a lot quicker than it's been on some of the previous restarts. And it looks like Jeff Marble, Tyler Marble still both on the tail of the two Dynamic Autosports teammates. As Jake Hickson, oh, Hickson's a little bit loose. Trying to save it, he does, but does that give Jeff Marble the run he needs to set up a pass here? Sure enough, it does. Tyler Marble maybe going to duck to the inside, try to give a little bit of aero support to his teammate. Nope, going to stay tucked in line for now. Jeff Marble should be able to get this position through the tunnel, although maybe not. Hickson held him pretty tight, and Tyler's still going to try to help his teammate here, but it's not quite going to work that time. So they'll stay even going through turn 3, and in fact, Tyler's going to slip to the outside of the 15 now. Jeff Marble sliding up, gets a little bit tight. That allows Tyler Marble to get clear, and he moves up to 3rd now, trying to go track down those two. GT Hawkins, Michael Mueller doing a little bit of tandem drafting. There you go. It'll make for some good speed down the straightaway. 190, 91 for GT Hawkins, thanks to the assist from that 99 machine, but Michael Mueller might have to pay the price here. Coughlin's looking low, and now that the 99 hits the wall, he will get low. Brian Conklin looking to pick up another position here, but the draft on the outside is going to save Michael Mueller here, as Souza will push him off into the tunnel turn. 36 of 80 laps complete, about 4 from halfway, and at this point, it's only going to be a one-stopper from here, at least from what it looks like. And so at that point, I'd say maybe that next pit stop comes probably somewhere right around lap 60, maybe lap 70, but I don't think anybody would need to stretch it that far at this point. I mean, if you go on lap 60, then that's probably a pretty good margin to go. I mean, that runs it out, and that's when the tires are going to be pretty worn anyway, so we'll see. That window could vary potentially a little bit, but about 20 laps until maybe actually, I guess I should say about 24 laps till we're going to see potentially that first green flag stop of the night if we can make it that far. But these cars have certainly shown that handling is going to be an issue once we get to the deeper portions of the run. Happened in that last run, and it might happen again here, but top 4 are still all single file and pulling away from the rest of the field. We are going to head to break, but you won't miss a thing. Stick with us at Pocono. Welcome back to Pocono Raceway, the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series Pocono 200. And caution is back out for Roger Shelton, an incident that he had while we were on break. And this looks like it's going to be coming through turn 1 again, where every caution that we've had here tonight has been. And just... oh, there's some contact between these two. And, well, I'll tell you, that contact, especially by them sticking together as long as they did, really saved the 42 there. And so this will be the only wreck that we've seen tonight that has not ended in damage for somebody, or I guess I should say severe damage for anybody. But I'm more curious as to how these two got tangled up. I mean, they were on the straight at this point, and Roger Shelton's up by the outside wall. He moves down a little bit, but I mean, that's a tough one. Let's see. So at this point, let's see. I think they both move a little bit. You see, Taio Polito, the 19, his left side tires are right about on that seam. Roger Shelton is straddling that seam on the right side. Let's watch how that changes here once they make contact. So the 19 is no longer on the seam, and Roger Shelton's definitely drifting down a little bit, but at the same time, the 19's coming up. And, you know, I wonder if Ty was maybe just looking to try to get a side draft here on the 42, because that's what you got to do, of course, especially if you don't have any draft help in the lane that you're running. So I think that's what it was, you know, looking for a little bit of side draft. And when you're running that close, if anybody moves even a little bit, that's what can happen. That's what did happen. And then, like I said, them getting stuck together here really was kind of a saving grace for Roger Shelton, as it allowed him to lock down the brakes and really get that thing woed up. And therefore didn't have to worry about sliding into the inside wall. Just went for a long enough slide that might need to take 4 tires as well. Well, gotta be a little careful there as Johnny McCulloch and them arrive on scene. They see the 42 still trying to regain control. And I want to see if I can get another angle of this here for Roger Shelton. Let's watch the 42 again. Here comes the 19, and just once he clips him here, though, hits him again in the left front. Could worry about a little bit of suspension damage there, but I think he's going to be okay. And then right here, it's just that long slide for Roger Shelton as he's trying to scrub off, going from, I don't know, 150, 160 down to enough where he's not going to slide into that inside wall. But nice job by both drivers to keep it relatively clean after the incident. And so it brings out the third caution here tonight, 41 of 80 laps complete, so we are officially over halfway. And the 5 of GT Hawkins still leading the way. Scott Glasso in second. Then you got Jeff Marble back in third, Taio Polito in fourth. And, you know, a couple guys still going for the pits, by the way, to continue to work on some of this damage. Johnny McCulloch being one of those drivers. I'll tell you what, since we got a chance here before we do get back going, let's see if we can bring Johnny up here real quick and see how he's feeling right now. Hey Johnny, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, I do.
Well, it looks like the car's still got some damage, but hey, you've kept it on the lead lap so far. How's the game plan changed, you know, since that incident that you were involved in earlier on?
Well, I got to thank Jeff Shutt for that one. He's kind of helping me down the front stretch a little bit.
It certainly looks like you guys have been working together in that aspect so far. But, I mean, the other thing I wanted to ask you about, bringing you up here tonight before we go green, looks like you got quite a couple fans out here watching tonight, rooting you on. So, I mean, from what we've seen so far here tonight, what do you think the chances are that we see you get back in this thing and maybe bring home top 15, top 10?
If I get one more caution, I should be back to full strength.
All right, sounds good, Johnny. Well, hey, we appreciate you talking to us. Good luck on getting the rest of that damage repaired, and good luck the rest of the way.
Thank you.
Johnny McCulloch, one of the drivers for No Excuses Racing. And, hey, Jeff Shutt, you know, I said earlier his race was done, but just because his race was done doesn't mean that it was all said and done, right? So he decided, you know what? As much damage as I got, not going to really be able to do too much myself. However, could certainly get this damage fixed and then be a fast pusher for my teammate down these long straightaways here at Pocono. Green flag is back in the air. 43 of 80 laps complete. And at this point, would have thought these restarts would have got even more aggressive than what they've been so far here tonight. But I think everybody's just a little too nervous with as little grip as there's been on the outside in turn one. They've already been dicey enough trying to take it too wide down through the corner. But here we go. Jeffrey Souza looking 3 wide. Yes, he is. Uh-oh. Somebody's going to have to give right here. Hold your breath. Oh, no. Brian Conklin's going to go for a slide. Can Conklin hold it as he emerges back? No, he can't, and they're going to wreck him up big time. Caution is out as the big one's going to strike in the tunnel turn. Oh, they're still wrecking. Cars everywhere. Rachel Hunt, Cody Matthews. I think Jeff Schutt's involved in this one again. Alan Pajari. I see Johnny Mikulchuk there on scene. I don't know if he missed it. And, oh, man, I don't think Brian Conklin is going to be too pleased with that one. It just seems like one of those things that 37 was so good here tonight. He's doing everything right, and now he sees his chances of potentially grabbing a win here tonight go up in a pretty big way with this wreck on lap 44. All right, let's go back and look at it here. Well, you almost knew it was going to be trouble as soon as you saw the 3 wide, as close as we were getting to the tunnel turn. But, I mean, usually this is the point where somebody backs out, especially when we're only realistically, you know, halfway through this race, maybe a couple laps more, but still seems a little early to be doing this. And I want to kind of see how this move shaped up, because I feel like that does have to play at least a part of it here. And so when they come off the corner, Souza's got an okay run, but I just think in that case, you push him now for what it's worth. I think Conklin does try to throw a little bit of a block here on Souza, and that'll probably see that through the chopper view. So you watch Brian Conklin here. Does he try to? I think he does. If it was, it certainly wasn't much, though. I will say that. And then, you know, he gets 3 wide here. You figure if he's got enough of a run to get clear, fine. But, I mean, at this point, they're close to the tunnel, and I don't know. I don't really feel like that's necessarily going to be Jeff's corner. I mean, you know, I know he's technically there, but as far back as he is, I just don't feel like there's any way it's going to work. And I was trying to figure out just how close they were to the tunnel here, because for what it's worth, it did, at least from this view, almost look like Brian Conklin turned down a little bit. It's hard to tell. It's really close, but again, with the way the tunnel turn works, you got to start to turn down at a certain point. And, you know, since Brian knew he was already going to be side by side, I wonder if he was trying to turn down a little bit earlier so that he could give Tracy Powers room. And, right, man, it certainly looks like maybe Souza came up a little bit, but then maybe Brian just creeped down slightly. I mean, either way, it's just, in my book at least, let's just mark it up as one of those incidents where two veterans that maybe not making the smartest move there, sticking 3 wide as long as they were with the tunnel turn coming up, and paid the price. And Jeffrey Souza looks like paid just as equal of a price as Brian Conklin, because once you get down in the grass on a turn that's kind of this abrupt, if you will, I mean, we can watch on the cockpit view. He can be on the brakes all he wants. It's not going to matter. And he was, too. He was trying, but nothing he could do there as he slides back up, and then it's just carnage from there as he slid right back up into the middle of the field, and it collected, I mean, probably at least a couple handfuls of them, if not even more than that. Watch from the blimp cam here. Looks like even Ryan Haynes maybe towards the front end of that. There's Rachel Hunt and a couple others getting involved. Give you a couple more views here of this. First one again from TV2. This was that first contact there for Souza. There's Haynes sliding around. Big damage for Conklin along with the 95 of Jacob Musso, as he really had nowhere to go. In fact, that car almost gets flipped up on its side. Same deal for Jared Bundy. And then everybody else just trying to miss it. I do think Johnny Mikulchuk missed it, so that's a good break for him. That's caution he needed. And there's Cody Matthews with the resulting damage that he sustained, along with all the other drivers that were involved in this one. Rachel Hunt, a couple others I also saw get some damage. Cody Matthews was going to see He gets involved. He ducks to the inside, but then corrects into Rachel Hunt. That's how he gets that damage. Gets into Pajari as well. That's where Jeff Shutt gets involved. Quentin Clark might have got a little something from this one. And then Ryan Haynes backs it back into the inside safer barriers. He gets back rolling. So the second big wreck that we've seen here of the night, arguably the biggest one though. With 46 of 80 laps now complete, we get ready to go back green. It's still good to see everybody in the chat here tonight. Kayla Michaels says, let's go Johnny McCulchuck. And looks like Shaky Hands Welding says, let's go Johnny as well. And Mr. Nice 88, Hot Dog. I think that's either Zach or Steve. Good to see you back in here tonight. I don't remember if that was Steve. I don't remember if that's your username or if that's Lima's, but glad that everybody's hopefully having a good Monday night. Already talked about what the schedule is looking like for these guys. We'll be getting to points here pretty shortly after this restart if these guys get things sorted out. But I mean, each caution that we get here brings us closer and closer to making it to that final fuel window where we wouldn't even see a green flag stop in this race. And it might be arguably pretty close right now. 46 of 80, going to be 47 of 80. That gives us about 34 laps to go. So 34 to go. My prediction was somewhere between 30 and 40 on fuel. It's certainly close. We'll see if anybody has to try to save any fuel or what to make of it. But GT Hawkins, first restart, he'll lead here as the field's been shuffled up. Scott Glasso second, Taio Polito third, Jeff Marble fourth, and Kyle Oakley in fifth. All right, here we go. Back into the Geico restart zone as the pace car will pull off. Green flag is back in the air at Pocono. And a great start this time. Nobody misses a shift. They all stay 2 by 2. Nobody looking 3 wide, not yet at least. They'll get down to turn number 1. Looks like up front though, GT Hawkins is going to be able to get clear enough to kind of choose the line he wants there. Through 1, further back. A couple guys on the inside slipping up. They all look for a grip and fight for position off at 2. Do they all get off clean? No, they don't. Another spinner, make it 2, 3. How many is this one going to collect? Caution is out. And who's in it? Can't tell just yet, but certainly a couple of them collected. Roger Shelton may have been involved. So it looks like, yeah, he's going to be the last one to roll away from the scene. So well, I think now this does officially just about put us in our fuel window, as we'll be going green with over 50 laps complete. And, well, restart's going to get more aggressive even if they're not fanning out before they get to the turn. Still fighting for positions in the turn here, and I think this is going to be another case of what we saw earlier with Jeff Shutt. Watch Roger Shelton here. Does he slide up? I think he does. Yeah, the 42, you know, it's hard to say if maybe he was trying to find a gap there that was, you know, well, yeah, I don't think so. That was a really weird little correction right there. Roger Shelton, you can almost see it. Watch this. Right. Well, that was a little bit delayed. I'll back it up even more here and try to play that slow for you again. Watch 42 here. Watch this thing almost correct just a little bit. It's going to be right there. That little snap to the right is almost like what shoots him up the racetrack. And I wonder if he was getting loose and that was kind of a handling reaction, or yeah, there is a little movement in the wheel right there. Watch this. Watch the wheel. Right there. He makes that slight adjustment to the right, and that just shoots him up the track that little bit. And, you know, the 39 of Haynes was there. He can't lift for that. I mean, he's side by side with the guy, and once they get into each other, that turns the 42 into the outside wall. He slides down. Conklin's got nowhere to go. And so, I mean, the night has just gone from bad to worse now for Brian Conklin. He just cannot catch a break. And so watch this here from a couple other angles. The 42 again as he slides up. Just that little correction. Doesn't take much. And that was a pretty good shot into that outside safer barrier. Wouldn't be surprised if that damage maybe broke a component of the suspension. Has certainly ripped off the front bumper. Brian Conklin's Chevy Camaro. We'll take a view from his eyes through this one. He certainly tried to dodge it here. He saw it go up. Chose the right line by going low, but unfortunately, as soon as he got there, the low line all of a sudden wasn't there anymore. All right, so your fifth caution here of the night with just about 50 laps complete. That puts us at, obviously, about an average of a caution every 10 laps. Not too bad here at Pocono, but all things considered, I mean, every caution that we've had here tonight has still all been a direct result of turn 1 to the tunnel turn. So it has been all on the first quarter to first half of this racetrack, and I mean, shouldn't be too shocked with the turn 1 deal, but certainly been a couple incidents that maybe didn't expect to see here tonight, like guys trying to go 3 wide into the tunnel turn, and how, of course, that obviously turned out. But you're ready for another chance at a green flag run here as GT Hawkins leads the way. Scott Glasso in 2nd. Tai Iopolito back in 3rd. Then you've got Jeff Marble in 4th. Todd Marble in 5th. Kyle Oakley 6th. Austin Fitzgerald in 7th. Jake Hicks in 8th. Tracy Powers in 9th. And Michael Mueller rounds out your top 10. All right. Who do you got as your pick? It's been a great night so far. I think the top 2 favorites, well, I think early the top 2 favorites would have been Austin Fitzgerald and potentially the 48 of Tyler Marble. But, I mean, now since then, throw a couple others into the mix. Jeff Marble. Can't forget about the 16 of Jake Hickson. And now you're throwing even more into the mix. GT Hawkins, Scott Glasso. Maybe they've got something here. So we'll get the 1 to go signal hopefully this next time around. So as we await that, gives us a good chance to go look at the other thing we needed to here tonight, and that is points. As you see right there, 19 of 36 races complete, but more importantly in parentheses, 7 races remaining in the regular season. No, it sounds like a lot, but I'm telling you, it comes up quick, so you got to take advantage. So, as it stands right now, Austin Fitzgerald, 6 wins. He leads in the points category. Quentin Clark, Jeff Marble, Jake Hickson, Tai Iopolito, Michael Mueller, Tyler Marble, and Jared Bundy, all drivers who have found victory lane and made the amount of races necessary to lock themselves into the playoffs. And then you look at Wester Jr., has a win, would normally be eligible, except he has not met the race criteria, so he's going to need to get some more points to do that. All the guys in yellow, not yet locked in, but currently would be in the round of 16 if it ended at the moment. Now you see Jeff Shutt in 10th, Thomas O'Hara 11th, Kyle Oakley 12th, Scott Glasso 13th, Kenneth Bartholomew 14th, Ryan Conklin 15th, and Johnny McCulchuk 16th. And, you know, I look at some of those names. Jeff Shutt, no surprise, been consistent looking for that first win, but arguably the best of the guys without one so far this season. And then maybe some of the more surprise picks, guy like Thomas O'Hara, who, you know, maybe a little bit quieter, doesn't always get the crazy finishes that we're used to seeing, but he's consistent. And so it's paying off. He's got himself in a good spot. Kenneth Bartholomew, one of the rookies trying to keep up with Riot Motorsports, and is certainly doing that so far this season. And then Johnny McCulchuk, another driver. Consistency is key. Got a good run, or if he could get a good run here tonight, could maybe jump Brian Conklin, who unfortunately had some bad luck strike on his side. And then the guys who are just below the cut line as it stands right now, Danny Gutierrez in 17th, Jacob Musso 18th, Cody Matthews in 19th, and Andrew Russo rounding out your top 20. All right, getting ready to go back. Green flag racing here, so it'll actually be 51 of 80 laps complete. And with that, it'll be exactly 30 laps to go at the Tricky Triangle. Don't expect another pit stop, at least I'm certainly not.
Green.
And so it should be a race all the way to the finish as the green flag is back in the air. 30 laps to go at Pocono. Good restart for the inside, maybe not so much for the outside, but still nobody daring to fan out of line, at least not yet. So you get down into turn 1. GT Hawkins will lead him in on the outside. Scott Glasso trying to get some momentum going further back. A couple cars sliding up. But here comes Tyler Marble in the 48. Now he's going to slot to the outside of Tai Iopolito. The 19 is going to find a gap just in front of Jeff Marble. Jeff will give him a push into the tunnel turn. Further back, look at Tracy Powers trying to take advantage of the checkup as he'll look for a couple positions. That stacked up Jake Hickson and a couple others to 16. Saw that red car, but that was a pretty big stack up for him, and almost some trouble there as Tracy Powers now to the inside of Kyle Oakley. He'll try to see if he can get a slide job done on the 17, but doesn't look like he's going to have any luck that time around. 52 laps now complete. GT Hawkins led that lap. One of his under a handful of green flag laps he's led here tonight. He's led a couple more than that, though, under caution. And here we go. Tyler Marble back to the inside for the 48. He wants his position, and he wants it bad as, Glasso gets into GT. GT Hawkins is loose. Almost turned around Tyler Marble as he was trying to catch the race car. Boy, that could have spelled disaster right there for the 48, but he's going to be able to sneak out of harm's way, it looks like. And I was just getting ready to say this is such an important move, maybe a sequence of moves, if you will, for Tyler Marble, because he knows that 74 is his biggest competition, and right now he's trapped 3 cars behind that 48, so, you know, once Fitzgerald gets around, he might start to track him back down. So if you're Tyler, you're thinking, okay, if I get around these guys, I can set sail here and maybe get some distance before that 74 is able to get to me, and that's exactly what he's doing so far. But I don't think Fitzgerald is going to be hanging where he is for too much longer here. Jeff Marble looking to do the same, though, as he'll make a move to the inside of GT Hawkins going into turn number 1. On the brakes they go, and Jeff looks like he is going to get clear. Scott Glasso looking for a peek to the inside, but he'll have nothing to show for it. Ooh, Tayo Polito bounced off the outside wall right there a little bit. Is even further back. It looked like that might have been Kenneth Bartholomew who got really, really loose. And they're 3 wide. Uh-oh. It's Roger Shelton. I don't like this. Tried this earlier, boys. This did not work. We're going to try it again. Oh, looks like they decided to get it sorted out this time. Went from 3 wide to 2 wide before they got into the tunnel turn. By the way, I know that this isn't the run that he should have been having here tonight. And I meant to say it earlier, but I'll say it now. What a cool looking paint scheme this is for Quentin Clark. I mean, the colors, the idea. I mean, this is, if we had a paint scheme contest tonight, it certainly has got my pick. I mean, it looks like it's supposed to be a Subaru paint scheme, and before it was damaged as much as it is, it certainly looked quite a bit like one. And the back end certainly fits that as well. So I like the paint scheme for Quentin Clark. I'm not sure if that's his Twitch or somebody else's, but got it on the back. I think it's Jimmy Beats Worlds. So make sure you check it out on Twitch. Certainly a very cool paint scheme. I think there's a band named that, but it will not name Jimmy Beats. I think it's Jimmy Eats Worlds or Jimmy Eats World. But hey, nonetheless, back on topic here, and that is the race between your top 5, and more importantly, the race for Austin Fitzgerald to try to get around everybody that's on a different strategy than him. Tyler Marble, Jeff Marble for Team Marble iRacing currently run 1-2. GT Hawkins 3rd, Fitzgerald in 4th, Ty Polito in 5th. And I know those 2 Dynamic Autosports cars are trying everything they can to get around right here. Going to be a tough pass, but Fitzgerald is going for it through ones. He got enough momentum to do so. Doesn't quite look like he's got enough, and each lap that Hawkins holds him up as Fitzgerald will try to make a move. It burns the tires off that 74 more and more so. Tyler loves what he's seeing in his mirror. Heck, Jeff Marble probably does too, because it sets these 2 up for a battle amongst themselves towards the end of this race if it continues kind of at that trend that it's going at right now. By the way, quick mid-race announcements while we got a chance. FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series, again, don't forget, we'll be back next week at the Brickyard. Don't miss out on that one. And then the next place that we head broadcasting will be, well, actually, I don't know if we'll be back tomorrow night, so I'll go ahead and not count that one for now. But definitely Thursday night over on PGR Esports for the last race before the SummerSlam. And boy, I'll tell you what, you talk about excited. Boy, am I ever for that event. We have got so many things. We've got a phenomenal broadcast team that, I've put together for that one, of course. And the reason I say that did not come out quite the way I wanted it to, but in PGR Esports, the other channel that, of course, broadcast for, and had a chance to work with a lot of great guys, so we kind of put that together just to help those guys out in general, and some of the great broadcasters that I've seen over there is what we're going to have for that event. And so you may not know the names, but you'll have an idea in case you tune in for that event, which will be on July 27th and 28th. And so it'll be myself, Austin Green, alongside Dawson Wise, Jacob Emery, Cody Nagels, and Michael Truscaro. And so that will be the official broadcast team. We'll be switching out for the prelim day. And then it'll be myself, Cody Nagels, and Dawson Wise for the LCQ. And then it'll be myself, Dawson Wise, and Jacob Emery for the featured event. 499 miles, $1,000 to win, along with the PGR SummerSlam belt. Payouts are, I think payouts are still up in the hundreds, all the way back through where it pays to the 20th position. So if you're interested at all in money racing, that's the event to try it. I think it's a $30 or a $35 entry. I don't remember the exact number, but we've seen a couple of the guys from the FastTrack Cup Series try that before. A couple guys that I don't think are in anymore, but I mean, some of the names from last season that certainly ring a bell. Richard Elliott, Joshua Watson. I've seen those guys run a couple of those before. Brian Watson even ran a couple. So if nothing else, make sure you tune into that event. Looking forward to it. Again, it'll be on PGR Esports. And that will be on July 27th and July 28th. 23 laps to go, and it is Tyler Marble leading the way. GT Hawkins, though, he's not going away. The 5 looking to the bottom here, the 15. Not sure if GT was just saving a little bit or if Jeff is just starting to struggle, but I mean, if GT Hawkins starts going back to battle here with Jeff Marble, then that might be kind of the final, I don't know if you want to call it knife in the coffin for Tyler Marble to wrap this deal up, because if they get to racing, then Jeff's not even going to have a chance to get back up there and track down his teammate. I mean, 23 laps to go. It's still a good ways here at a track that's 2.5 miles in length, but I mean, at the end of the day, it's still at that point where you're starting to run out of time, so we'll see what happens. But Tyler Marble continues to try to stretch his lead out, as there's Brandon Saylor utilizing as much of the racetrack as he can, as he goes all the way down just about the checkered stripes. And by the way, checking in on one of the guys who we got a chance to talk to earlier, it was Johnny McCulchuk, who was working on getting as much of his damage fixed as possible, and looks like he's got himself some positions. And there you see that teamwork between him and his teammate Jeff Shutt down the straightaways. Jeff, with of course cleaner car, is able to catch that 72 pretty quick down the straight and proceeds to just push him. And they're trying to push by anybody they can, and we've seen that before a couple times in the real life NASCAR season, and hey, why not? I mean, you got to have teammates for a reason. Sometimes utilize them however you got to. Johnny McCulchuk right now sits in 23rd. I don't know if he's got enough speed to gain any more or not, but he's in the middle of a pretty good cluster right here, and this is certainly the chance to get the job done, if you will. I want to watch these two tandem again down the front stretch right here, as they're going to have an opportunity here. Watch for Jeff Shutt, the 27. He's going to lock onto his teammate right there. Boom, and now he's just going to shove the daylights out of him. Well, that time they didn't quite get linked up as much as they certainly would have liked to. And so we'll see. I think he's able to steal a position right there, though. Got one from the 73 Bartholomew. He tries to get one more there from Jared Bundy, but it doesn't look like he's quite able to do so. So Johnny McCulchuk continues to try to make a late charge here, doing whatever he can. Trying to break into the top 20. Kenneth Bartholomew, as damaged as he is, looks like still maybe has a couple more horsies down the straightaways. A little bit more horsepower, if you will. And then the 00 of Quentin Clark, as beat up as that car looks. Surprised that he's still running as well as he is. There's the 00 on the bottom, trying to slide up in front of the 42 of Roger Shelton. And up front, Austin Fitzgerald has finally got around at 5 of GT Hawkins. He's actually faded all the way back tonight. Not sure if he had an issue here or if tires or handling finally just fell off of that race car. Jeffrey Souza still up in the mix after what I thought was a night ender for him in that last wreck between him and Brian Conklin, which was just a couple cautions ago. But still, looks like that car's got enough speed to run where he currently sits, which is inside the top 10. So Tyler has about a half a second gap over his teammate Jeff Marble. And, well, not anymore. Caution is out. 6th one of the night. Question is, where is it at? Ooh, Alan Pajari, the 34, with big trouble. Oh, now it's Brian Conklin who's going to tag the outside wall too. Oh, man, he missed the initial wreck, but then by missing it, just got out of shape and overcorrected into that outside safer barrier. Well, 19 laps to go. And now this will put us in a restart with probably closer to 15 to go. All right, well, let's see here how this one sparks up. I think, well, we're going to go to Alan Pajari because that's where this wreck started. Oh, my goodness, the 34. Well, he was by himself in this one. Let's see here. So if we go to the chopper view first, he wasn't running with anybody. So in fact, we'll go to the cockpit view. I think it just gets loose. We saw this earlier for Pajari, and it ended in kind of a similar incident where as he's coming off the turn here, he's trying to get the throttle down, and back tires are just sliding out, and there's going to be the first tag. Wow, that was a huge hit. That thing did go all the way over. Pajari tumble almost took a second one. as that's the first time we've seen a car go over in a little while here in the FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series. Certainly not a track or the way that you would expect to see it, but watch this hit. Watch this thing. He hits the wall so hard that as soon as he does, I mean, it just ramps up onto its side and then gets onto the roof, barrels over, almost takes the second one, but... And then there's the 95 of Musso. I could not tell you how he managed to miss that. And there's the onrush Brian Conklin, who unfortunately was not quite as lucky as... Well, he missed it initially, but before we get to that, watch this for Jacob Musso, and then we'll watch Brian Conklin. So there's Jacob Musso. He sees it. He's going to go high, going to go high, going to go high. Now he sees it, goes low, and boy, that was close. And then here's Brian Conklin, who it's a little bit loose, sees it, starts to go low. The 34 starts rolling low, and I mean, he missed it, but it's just he hits a giant bump or something there below the apron, and that just jerks the car to the right. So we'll let him into that outside safer barrier. Watch this incident one more time for Brian Conklin before we look at another angle or two for Alan Pajari. And so watch this. He's able to miss it on the inside, and then boom, there's the hit on the outside wall. Struggles just continue now for Brian Conklin here tonight. And then here's another look at the damage, or rather the wreck for Alan Pajari. As TV through will give you a good view of this car getting up in the air, getting on its roof, and then flipping over before he lands back on all four and eventually comes to rest near the bottom of the racetrack. And then here comes the onrush and Brian Conklin, which you see there, and then where he ends up in the outside wall. All right, so as we go back live, restart again now, going to be closer to about 15 laps to go, it looks like. And Austin Fitzgerald is currently being scored as your leader, as I would assume we would have had probably just about everybody make their, well, what probably is going to be the final pit stop right there for tires. You don't necessarily need fuel, and it looks like that is the case. Yep, everybody did pit, so maybe they did top off on fuel, but I think the biggest thing was, of course, getting fresh tires, fresh rubber for what could be the final restart. And even if it's not, I just don't know if you can afford to give up track position from this point forward. But we'll see. 18 laps to go. Going to be 17 when they cross the stripe this time. You got Austin Fitzgerald leading the way. Taio Polito second. Jay Kickson third. Tyler Marble in fourth. And Andrew Russo rounding out your top five. Donna K in the chat, good to see you, says GT for the win. Harley de Bonneville says it's Mahalchek. Mahalchek. Oh, I do apologize. I think I was saying Mahalchek, so I apologize. Thank you for correcting me, though. Mahalchek. Well, I've been calling Johnny that, too, for a season and a half. I remember when I first joined the league, and that was one of the hardest last names to pronounce, you know, for the first race. I was trying to make sure I had it right before the first race, and I thought I had it right, but guess not quite. So we'll go ahead and try to make sure we pronounce it the right way from there. So again, Harley, certainly appreciate that. Johnny Mahalchek. All right. So 2 by 2 the field goes as they work their way off turn number 1. 17 laps to go, so it'll actually be 16 to go here for the restart. And that's still a pretty good ways to go here at Pocono. I mean, 2.5 miles, you figure these guys still have probably nearly 34, almost 50 miles left in this race still. So it's certainly by no means over yet, but Austin Fitzgerald coming out with the lead right here. This was huge for him, huge opportunity. If he can get clean air and run away from the 48 and the 15, and how about this? Dynamic Auto Sports right now sits 1, 2, 3. And if they can get away on this restart and kind of get filed out 1, 2, 3, that's going to make those passes for the 48 and the 15 that much harder. And it just, we'll have to see if they have enough time. Another guy I'm keeping my eye on right now is that 88 of Andrew Russo. Looking where he was at in points, I believe it was about 20th coming into tonight. But he's looking for potentially a season best run here tonight, as right now he's up 22 positions from where he started this race at. And if he could find a way to victory lane, even a top 5, would put himself closer to getting into that playoff picture. Here we go. Green flag back in the air. 16 laps to go at Pocono. Another good restart. Guys have not struggled on too many of them here tonight, but 2 by 2 they go. Down into the first corner here. This is where we've seen most of the trouble here tonight, is that first lap, first corner. Look at the blimp cam, though. So far, so good. Ooh, Tyler Marble trying to find a way to split the 88 and the 19, but he's not going to be able to do it that time. Now he's going to push the 19 of Ty Iopolito. Maybe look to see if he can set up a move here before they get down into the tunnel turn. Will he try to do it? No, he will not. Tyler Marble retreats a little bit as further back, 25 of Tracy Powers got into the back of Jeffrey Souza through the tunnel turn, but looks like so far so good. Everybody keeps it clean down into turn number 3. 2 by 2 they roll right now. 25 Tracy Powers on the inside. The 24 Brandon Saylor just behind him. Let's get off turn 3. Guess who? Austin Fitzgerald back to the point here at Pocono. His teammate Jake Hickson just behind. Does Hickson look for a move here? He had a great run. I think he's just going to push for now. All 3 of these guys I think would like, first off, to try to see if they could fend off the 48 and make it a 1-2-3 finish, and then decide how that 1-2-3 finish ends at the end of this race. Oh, Hawkins into the outside wall. That was a pretty hard shot, too, for the 5. Russo's going to try to help him recover as he'll give him a push. Glasso's going to try to take advantage as he'll go to the inside. GT just got really tight right there off of turn 1 and tagged the outside wall pretty good. Got to get back in rhythm, but oh, sliding up, almost hits the outside wall off at turn 2. Might have been some contact actually between him and Scott Glasso that caused that, but nonetheless, Tyler Marble looking for the move right here. He already found a way by Ty Iopolito and actually slides in line as, ooh, well, that might have been a little physicality there because Ty got into the outside wall with as close as the clear looked, at least from this camera view. And now that'll open the door for the 15 of Jeff Marble to try to get by the Dynamic Autosports rookie as well. Jeff going to try to sneak by and try to slide up on the exit of 1, but I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Nope. Sure enough, he won't as more guys continue to tag the outside wall coming off of 1. It's just that point in the race you're pushing for all it's worth, and that banking kind of unloads once it comes off of turn 1 at the top of the racetrack. So there's a tendency to all of a sudden not get as much turn as maybe you were expecting right at the end of the corner. But I mean, I'm watching Tyler here. I think we need to hop to the onboard because, at least from what I'm seeing, it looks like he is pushing this 48 machine pretty hard right now because he knows it's go time, and I think he knows that he has got to get around this 16 before these tires get too worn out. The problem is he can't really do it on the straights without some support from maybe a teammate, and Ty Iopolito, Jeff Marble, his closest teammate, those two are in a battle right now, so nothing he's able to do there. But Ty is taking a little bit of a wider arc through turn 1, and that's where it's going to help him because he's able to try to sneak to the inside here of Jake Hickson off of turn 1, but oh, he's got to be careful here. Oh, he's trying so hard to side draft this 16, sucking back, do anything. Oh, but it's just not enough. See, what he wants to do is just hold even when they get down to the tunnel turn, so he's got a chance, but he just can't do it. Because of the 74 being where he is, it's the draft. And, you know, we wondered what the effect would be here tonight, and it's played different roles, but right now it's playing the role of keeping the teammates 1-2. And there you go, Tyler sets him up pretty good again here off of 3. He'll get a decent run, but it doesn't matter because he's not going to be able to make a run to the inside with how much pull the 16's still getting on the 74. In fifth gear he goes. Is he going to push? No, he's going to look for the move here. That time he did it right, though. Big side draft. Tyler Marble's going to dive it deep into turn 1. The 16 of Hickson looks 3 wide. I think Fitzgerald slipped up a little bit. Can he pull off a 2-for-1? What a pass from Tyler Marble. Somehow gets by both Dynamic Autosports teammates, but he's not quite able to get clear up. And so that means that Austin Fitzgerald's going to reclaim the lead, but he still stays even with the 16 now through the tunnel turn. Jake Hickson's going to race him very aggressive, and wow, Tyler Marble was probably about, I don't know, maybe 2 inches from being clear and potentially having the race-winning move, but unfortunately, now he's got to go back to work on this 16, and I think the 16 is going to get a little bit better run here off of turn 3, and the frustration is going to have to continue here because Tyler Marble's not going to get clear. He'll drop back in line, but that is going to lose all of his momentum. But man, that was almost one of the greatest passes we would have seen all season if Tyler would have been able to find a way to make that one happen. So he'll keep going to work on this 16, and I will say the 74, those 2 cars, they don't look perfect right now. Fitzgerald did slip up in 1. That was last lap. That's what allowed the 48 to almost do a 2-for-1 on these guys, but I'm a little shocked to see the inside lane in the tunnel turn struggling as much as it is. I thought that would be the fastest way around when you were 2x2, but it's not been the case so far as Jeff Marble with a mistake back there. That's going to cost him a position or 2. Jeff right now kind of in the same boat as Tyler in terms of just pushing it for all you're worth. I mean, you know, these tires, they're going to get worn out. They're going to go away, but I think it's going to be a better position to try to maintain track position than it is to, you know, say get stuck wherever you're at and then have old tires on top of that. So see what these guys make of it, but 10 laps to go. Closing in on the end of this thing slowly but surely, and Tyler Marble, he is not done fighting just yet. He's looking for not his first victory of the season, but certainly another one to try to maybe close the distance on the regular season championship, although it's a pretty big gap with the season Fitzgerald's been putting together and the amount of wins he's racked up as of recent. Tyler with another big push to the 16, but not going to make the move there either. So when they come around the line this next time, it'll put them at 9 laps to go as, GT Hawkins and Taio Polito with a little get-together back there. Tyler Marble looking for another big run here. Boy, I'll tell you what he was really looking for there, I think, was he was hoping that Jeff was going to be able to find a way to get around Ty, and if so, it could have been more of a 2-on-2 battle. Maybe Tyler could have had some draft support when he made the move down the straights, but it's just without it, if Jake Hickson's not willing to make a move, which, you know, why would he? He's got a teammate in front of him, and maybe he doesn't quite feel like he's got the speed to necessarily get around him. He's just going to push. I mean, it's a fair strategy to do, but here we go. This is what you got to do. He got a side draft after the 16 got a little bit tight, but is it enough? Can he hold it? He's got to hold it. He's got to hold it. Almost down to the tunnel turn. I think he held it. Sure enough, he did. Tyler back to the inside again. He needs that 16 to really wiggle up, get into the outside wall. Oh, speaking of wiggling, Tyler Marble slipped up right there. That's going to cost him a position now. Is where did GT Hawkins come from? Well, I'll tell you what, I know Tyler's probably frustrated about that move, but this might have been exactly what he needs. The 5 could be your ticket around the 16 here. And you know that 5 will get racy with the 74 because they are not teammates. Tyler Marble, the 48, still in the top 5. Taio Polito, does he look for a challenger on the 48 into turn 1? He'll peek a nose to the inside. Ooh, almost got into the 48 right there, but nothing doing. So Tyler Marble, start to wonder, did he use his stuff up? And now I feel like the spotlight has to turn to the 5 of GT Hawkins, and you ask yourself, what can the rookie do right here? What has he got left? He's got a rookie in front of him, but remember, he's not too shy of victory lane. Got the job done in the All-Star Open and the All-Star Race. And so while it may not have been a points race, GT Hawkins certainly has speed, and it's going to be a fighter. The FastTrack Sim Racing Cup Series for the championship in future seasons. But boy, Tyler's just so much better than him off of 3. And, you know, I almost think if you're Tyler right there, it really is still like Daytona or Talladega, where the speed difference from when you're actually pushing someone to when you're just drafting is still a huge difference. So if Tyler just backs it down even a little bit, coming off of turn 3 so that he can get locked up with that 5, I think there's a move to be made here. I really do. And everybody is so on edge right now. I mean, we continue to see guys in the top 5, top 10 bounce off that outside wall coming off of turn 1 that, I mean, if he plays his cards right here, like I said, maybe he gets a 2-for-1 here. He's able to pass the 16 and then try to set up the 5 or help the 5 set up to 74, get them both. But you got to start getting creative here because we're coming to 6 laps to go, and so far that 48 just not been able to find really anything. And here you go. He gets that better run, but just looking to the inside here, I just don't think it's the right move to make right now. Big slip up right there for the 5. Tyler Marble has to correct, and that's going to cost him a lot of time as he'll have to slot back in line now behind GT Hawkins. Even further back than that, looks like we're going to have some 3 wide towards the mid portions of the pack. This is actually the battle for, looks like, 15th. As Rachel Hunt in the middle of 3 wide. Ooh, she had to lock it up there getting into turn 1. As the 17 Oakley tried to sneak by her outside. And so I'll tell you what, Rachel Hunt, another one of the drivers that was involved in one of the earlier incidents, she's done a great job recovering here tonight. She's up 12 positions from where she started this race at, sitting in 15th right now. So hats off to Rachel. And she's looking to see if she can get a move here on Thomas O'Hara, but she got a little too high that time, it looked like. Nonetheless here, becoming a 5 laps to go next time. And the top 3 are back to what they were just about a handful of laps or so ago. But GT Hawkins, I don't know if he's ready here to let Tyler Marble run away just yet. Fitzgerald still leads. Jake Hickson 2nd. And Tyler Marble in 3rd. And I know some people may not like the drafting too much here tonight in terms of teammates working together, but you know what? To a certain degree, this track has some similar aspects to what we're going to see next week at Indy. The tunnel turn, probably the most similar turn to what you see at Indy, but drafting is still going to be a big part of the game down the long Indy straights. And so if you've got teammates and you get lined up the way Dynamic Autosports is right now, this is what you can do. But Tyler Marble certainly doesn't look like he's going to be done fighting here until the end of this race. And if you're Jake Hickson, you are going to have to be perfect, because one slip up, if the 48 can get around this 16, I would definitely say he is still very much a contender and with a shot to win this thing at the end. Oh, the 16 gave him the lane here. Hickson, a little bit of a wobble though. Tyler Marble not nearly enough momentum though to get by. So Hickson will reclaim that second spot, and Tyler will try to set him up again. 4 laps to go and about 10 miles remaining, I believe. Yep, should be about 10 miles remaining or so. Actually, about 12 miles remaining. Pardon my math. And so if you're you know what, there's just so many names that kind of came into play late in this race that I feel like maybe we weren't expecting. Scott Glasso certainly comes to mind. Remember, he had an incident earlier, got some damage. Jeffrey Souza, after all the damage he had, you wonder how is he still running up here in the top 10 and 7th? And then some of the guys that you were expecting to maybe have a chance at fighting for the win at the end. Oh, hold on, we got one almost going around out back. That's Kyle Oakley in the 17. Hold on to it, Kyle. Looks like he does. Got on the apron, and I think he either tagged the outside wall or the inside wall. But he's able to save it, so we're going to stay green here. And, ooh, yeah, the right side of that car is pretty beat up, so that tells you which side made the impact. Now, with 3 laps to go, you still got to think about potentially late caution. We have got to make it to the white flag before this race will be deemed official. If not, we could head into overtime. And if you're Tyler Marble, I wonder if right now he's thinking, boy, that's kind of what I'm looking for. And if you're GT Hawkins, maybe you're in the same boat as Tyler Marble here. Try to help that 48. Figure out a way to, get these guys side by side. That's the best way to make things happen, is when guys are running side by side. But I think Tyler's getting a little frustrated here with GT Hawkins. It looked like that time he laid a little bit of the chrome horn to the back of the 16, saying, listen, man, I know you're trying to work with your teammate here, but I got to go. And so the 48, I think, is going to get a little bit aggressive here with the 16 over the next lap. And yes, he does. He bumps him there. And even though he bumped him, it's still not enough. So as we come to 2 to go now, Tyler Marble sees that window of opportunity getting smaller and smaller and smaller as Austin Fitzgerald sees that 7th win getting closer and closer and closer. The 16 looking for another second place finish. He might be up there for the most first and second place finishes when they're tallied together of anybody this season. Hickson has been the bridesmaid a few times. He's won a couple races, almost won 3. And I don't know if he's quite got winning speed here tonight, but what he does have is an opportunity to see his teammate go to victory lane and see a 1-2 finish for Dynamic Autosports. Taio Polito trying to hang in the top 10 for now. But as they work their way through turn 3, Tyler Marble's going to have to try to set one more run up here. If he can't get around this 16 through turn 1 here, I think that's it. But here we go. White flag is in the air. 1 lap to go at Pocono. Down the front stretch for the final time. Fitzgerald the lead now. Up over half a second between him and Tyler Marble, but still just over a quarter of a second between him and his teammate Jake Hickson. You wonder, did Jake save anything in the tank here to try to track down his teammate here in the last half a lap? Doesn't look like it at the moment. Fitzgerald still within range where the guys behind are able to get a draft, but not close enough where they're going to be able to make a move unless he makes a mistake. Ooh, speaking of mistake, Glasso hard into the outside wall out of the tunnel turn. But up front, out of turn 3, for the final time here tonight, Dynamic Autosports will do it again. They're going to go 1-2 at the Tricky Triangle. 7th win of the season. Austin Fitzgerald wins it at Pocono. Jake Hickson brings home 2nd, and Tyler Marble rounds out the podium. Oh, a little bump after the line there. Wonder if these two were expressing a little frustration with each other. I think that's what that was. Let's see here. Let's go to the cockpit view. I think Tyler was showing a little bit of frustration here with the 16. Let's see. That's exactly what he was doing. Tyler letting you know, listen, man, I know you got a teammate, but I really didn't appreciate how hard you raced me. But, I mean, from what I saw up here, I don't think Hickson did anything wrong, right? I mean, it just looked like hard racing. I know what he was doing, trying to help his teammate, but he didn't do anything wrong, didn't do anything dirty, didn't do anything out of the aggressive. He just did a really good job playing defense. So I know Tyler's probably frustrated at that one, but if you're Jake Hickson or Austin Fitzgerald, you got to feel like you guys certainly came and did your job here tonight. All right, well, as we await the celebrations for your winner here tonight, we'll take a look at your results. Race win goes to Austin Fitzgerald here at Pocono. Jake Hickson second, Tyler Marble third. GT Hawkins back in fourth with Scott Glasso in fifth. Ty Iopolito in sixth. Jeffrey Souza seventh with Jeff Marble in eighth. Michael Mueller in ninth. And Tracy Powers rounding out your top 10. Brandon Saylor finishes in 11th. Ryan Haynes back in 12th. Rachel Hunt 13th. Mark Zabak in 14th. Greg Bartlett 15th with Kyle Oakley in 16th. Thomas O'Hara in 17th. You've got Andrew Russo finishing back in 18th here tonight. Rounding out your top 20 is Glenn Grigsby and Kenneth Bartholomew. Moving on back to 21st, it's Johnny Johnny, make sure I said this right from earlier. Johnny Mahalchek. And then Quentin Clark finishing back in 22nd. Roger Shelton 23rd. Jake Amuso 24th. Jared Bundy 25th. Jeff Shutt 26th. Brian Conklin 27th. Cody Matthews finishes back in the 28th position. Rounding out your field here tonight, Alan Pajari 29th, Brett Spod 30th, and Caleb Patton in 31st. All right, we're going to go see if we can get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Pocono. All right, and we're going to go ahead and start tonight with your third place finisher, Tyler Marble. Tyler, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yep.
Oh, man, you were certainly pushing it there towards the end, and we saw after the line maybe a little bit of frustration shown from you to the 16. Break us down what was going through your head there towards the end, and, kind of if there was anything that you could have tried different, kind of what happened there?
Couldn't do anything different when cautions come out. It's just 2 years in a row. Cautions screw me over at this racetrack. It's racing. I get it. It is what it is. And then I get beat pit strategy. I guess I gotta freaking become less scared and be more aggressive on pit road strategy-wise. I don't know. I'm just upset. Just 2 years in a row, I got the car the freaking beat. If you don't come home with freaking a win, it's aggravating. But P3, good points day. Sucks to 74-1 again, but move on to Indy. Got a chance to go back there.
Yeah, certainly going to Indy now. Difference is we're not going to the road course this time, heading back to the oval. Is there anything that you can take here from Pocono that translates to next week?
Turn 2. If you're good in turn 2, you're good every corner at Indy. So sit your marks, and yeah, you should have some good speed on the straightaways. You should be a fast race car.
All right, well, you certainly had a fast race car here tonight. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I thank you for broadcasting every week, Ghost Racing Network. DA Design Studio, Sim Racer Hub, Butt Kicker, BMP, they'll be sponsoring next week. We just got to confirm that with Haynes and Spod. But everybody coming out, Racing iFlag, everybody for watching, and yeah, we'll try to go win back-to-back Brickyards.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thanks for talking to us tonight, Tyler. Again, congrats on a third-place finish, and we will see you next week.
Thank you.
All right, now that brings us to your second-place finisher here tonight, Jake Hickson. Jake, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Hey, Austin. Yeah, loud and clear. How you doing?
Good. Well, man, another good run for you here tonight. A 1-2 for Dynamic Auto Sports, but we just heard the other side. Tyler Marble just a little bit frustrated at strategy, but what we did see at the end was, I like to call it pretty much perfect defense. Was there a point there towards the end where you realized maybe you weren't going to catch your teammate and tried to turn to play defense on the 48?
Oh, 100%. That's what it was all about. I wanted Austin to win, and I wanted second place, and that's exactly what we were doing. So we both took 2 tires in that last pit stop to get us out in front. Unfortunately, Ty couldn't hold on. His lefts were a little bit older, but yeah, that was 100% what we were doing. Tyler would get a run on the inside of 3, and, I wouldn't necessarily completely block him, but I would hold him to his line. And then, thankfully I got a teammate in front of me to pull me down the front stretch. And it's one of the longest front stretches at that. So plenty of speed to make up there. So yeah, it was definitely all defense that.
Well, there was a point in the season there where you kind of went through a little bit of a rough streak, but things are picking up again. And, you were on a hot streak at the beginning of the season, 2 wins, almost 3. And now that you continue to heat up, next week we head to Indy. How you feel about your chances at the Brickyard?
I feel okay. I've never really had too much luck at the Brickyard, so we'll definitely have to put in some laps and get some practice in. But I think that our team here is willing to do that, so I think we can put something good together. And I think we'll show up pretty well on Monday. But I'll definitely have my work cut out for me. That's for sure.
Well, before we let you head out here tonight, is there anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank you guys, especially you, Austin, for doing a great job announcing these things. It's always fun to go watch these back. I'd like to, thank all my friends and family for watching, and my teammates, right? My wife back home for letting me do this, and thank you so much. And appreciate it, Austin. Thank you so much.
Well, hey, thank you for talking to us again. Congrats on that second place finish, and we will see you next week.
Sounds good. Have a good one.
All right, and now that brings us up to your race winner here tonight, 7th win of the season for Austin Fitzgerald. Austin, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
Oh, man, I need you to start bringing your own questions. I'm running out of them up here. We see you each and every week. You bring home your 7th win here tonight, but we didn't necessarily have much green flag pit stop strategy. Instead, it came under caution and quite a few short runs, especially there towards the end. How'd you have to adjust the strategy with how fast some of the other cars here were tonight, particularly maybe the 48 and even your teammate there towards the end, the 16?
Yeah, so originally, I was preparing for, a lot of green flag racing. It looks like that was what we were going to get at first. And, so I was actually saving fuel a little bit, trying to make it just a one-stop race. But then we started getting cautions, and then, the strategy changed. And the biggest thing was doing the 2 tires towards the end there. So before that, I took 4 tires, a couple the second to last pit stop, and there's a few guys that took 2 tires, and it's so hard back in traffic. Even if you have the fresher left side tires, they don't make a huge difference. So this is very much a track position race, and I really don't like Pocono. I'm not a big fan of it. I've had a lot of luck here, so I'm kind of surprised I was able to win this one. But yeah, there's a lot of strategy, taking the 2 tires there on the last pit stop, and then Tyler taking the 4. And he arguably had the best car today. But, as a team, we all decided to take 2 tires, Jake, myself, and Ty, and that put us 1, 2, 3 on the restart. And then we just did our best to, work together and use the draft to keep the marbles behind us. So yeah, if it weren't for Jake, racing Tyler hard like that, Tyler definitely would have had a shot at me, no doubt. But yeah, so huge shout out to Jake and the rest of the team for sure.
Well, a great run here tonight, and we head to Indy next week. The streak right now is certainly a hot streak. You're from Vegas. Shouldn't be too surprised in that aspect. But do you add maybe win number 8 next week?
Again, Indy's very much like this track, and I've never been very good there. But you know what? Tonight went well, so I'm feeling pretty optimistic about next week at Indy. I'm going to dedicate that one to my daughter, Indy, and see if we get some good luck there.
We will see indeed. Well, before we let you head out here tonight to celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, shout out to my family. That looks like quite a few of them are watching. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. That's really cool. Shout out to my wife Vanity, my daughter Indy, my daughter Emma. Shout out to Acoustic Design Systems, Dynamic Auto Sports, and just everything they do, and bringing great setups and working together every week. But yeah, that's about it.
Well, thank you, of course, for talking to us. Congrats on the win, and we will see you next week at Indy.
See you then.
All right, well, that is just about going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Pocono, the Tricky Triangle. What a great race it was, and what a great win it was for Austin Fitzgerald, win number 7. Next week, we head to the Brickyard for the return to the Oval for the first time in a few years. So make sure, well, I guess I should say a few seasons. Point is, make sure you stick around for that one because it is going to be fun. Check that out next week. Monday, same time, same network. Until then, though, thank you all so much for tuning in here tonight. As always, I hope you enjoyed. That's it for me, Austin Green, on Ghost Racing Network. Till next time, have a good night.